Kentucky's putting out practice video on social media, and I think the way that the Wildcats are running things is about as perfect as you could possibly do it.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, practice is back, and I could not be more excited. The Wildcats are posting clips to social media, and I've got some takeaways. I think that the way that they're playing their rotations, it's about as perfect as you can do it, at least right now. We're also going to give you 4 different things that I want to see from practice throughout the course of these next few weeks before the season starts. I want you guys in the comments below to give me your thoughts. What do you want to see from practice as well? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app. You can create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. I want to remind you that we are free and available on all platforms. Please subscribe to the show if you have not already. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate everybody that has already joined up. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So if you have not seen already, Kentucky has been posting practice clips to their social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads. If you're on there somehow, some way, the official Kentucky basketball account follows me on Threads, which I just think is hilarious. But we've got practice video, and it's not just coming from the university itself, from the Kentucky men's basketball social media pages. It's coming from Mark Pope as well. I'm going to go through these different clips here that we got to see as far as the 5-on-5 action. I want to break down what exactly we're seeing here from these rotations because, like I mentioned, I think it's about as perfect as you could possibly get. So to start, we'll start with the first clip that was on that day one clip that went around social media with the music and everything. I like the way that was edited. I really like, by the way, just very brief side note. Over the past few years that I've been doing this, whoever's been running the social media, it feels like they are about as dead emotionally as you could possibly be when it comes to covering the team, especially during games. It has just been the most deadpan, no punctuation, or if anything, it's a period, just kind of being like, Kentucky wins, 3-ball, dunk. And it's been just awful, just lame. This past year, and then I think they've got a new like creative director or something like that. I really like the way that they're doing things. It's much more energetic. It's a shot in the arm, I think, for a lot of us. Both the way the program's going right now, and then also the way it's being portrayed on social media. But anyway, first clip here from that video that went around. Trent Noah hit a 3, just absolutely canned it from the left wing. You had 2 different teams out there, blue and white. We'll start with the blue. Denzel Aberdeen, Colin Chandler, Cam Williams, Mo Diabate, and Malachi Marino made up the blue team. 2 starters there. And then on the white team, you had Trent Noah, Andrea Yelovich, Jasper Johnson, Brandon Garrison, and you did not see him in frame, but I believe Jaylen Lowe was the 5th player, and the reason I believe that is because I think we got a different angle of it from Pope on a video that he posted, and Jaylen Lowe was out there with the white team. 2 starters there. That is how Kentucky should do this until Otega, Oweh, and Jayden Quaintance gets back. They should divvy things up, at least in the videos that they're putting out. Divvy the starters up into 2 different teams, and then mix and match with the rotational players around them to see what actually works. And the best part about this is because Kentucky can mix and match. They've got Reese Potter, they've got Braden Hawthorne, they've got a lot of different things that they can do with these rotations, but I love the fact that they are splitting up the starters to figure out just exactly how they can utilize these guys, because it's becoming pretty clear that Denzel Aberdeen is going to be the backup point guard. I've written about this. I've talked about this at length on this show. I think this is good for Kentucky. Him as a secondary playmaker, and then somebody that can thrive in off-ball situations whenever somebody else is out there running point, i.e. Jayden. I think that this is exactly where Kentucky wants to be with Aberdeen. I think he can be more efficient. I think that he can put the team in better situations than maybe some of Kentucky's backup guards could a season ago on both ends of the floor. I will note, I really like Denzel Aberdeen here. Colin Chandler there at the 2. Love it. I think that he has to become somebody that you need to get ready to, well, he has to become somebody that's comfortable being a third option there at point. I like him at the 2, at 6'5". Really like what he could be this season as an offensive player. Cam Williams at the 3, maybe the most underrated piece on this team. And I say underrated because we're kind of hyping everybody up in their own individual way. Cam Williams is an incredible shooter. He's gotten some work in handling the ball and creating an ISO situations. At least that's the stuff that we've seen on social media that Kentucky's been posting. So I really like this. Diabate at the 4, best defender on the team outside of Quaintance, I think. Muscle guy. We've seen some highlights already of him just bulldozing through, getting to the rim and dunking. And then Malachi Marino, who we'll talk about in just a little bit more in depth. But Marino there is your 5. I really like that lineup. It just 1 through 5. If that's a rotation that they throw out there, I really like it. You've got shooting, you've got defense, you've got a lot of height. You may not have the most speed out there or the most athleticism, but I really do like what Kentucky's giving you here in terms of a well-rounded, high-floor look with this rotation. Love it. Trent Noah, Jaylen Lowe, Andrea Yelovich, Jasper Johnson, Brandon Garrison. A lot lower of a floor, but I would argue that this group has a higher ceiling potentially than maybe that blue team because of what they can do offensively. And I think a lot of that has to do with what Jasper Johnson and Jaylen Lowe do give you. I think Noah is going to be a very consistent shooter for you, but I think that Yelovich, honestly, his spot-up game might be the best thing about him whenever he's in the game for the Wildcats this year. Jasper, I think, can be hot and cold. That's what we've seen. That's what we've heard. Jaylen, very inefficient a year ago. Can he be better than that? Jasper, as an off-ball guy, really does fascinate me, because I think that you can set him up to be successful, to get going with a lot of catch and shoot spot up opportunities if Jaylen can create. And we saw a really good pass from him here in one of these highlight clips. But that first clip was a Trent Noah 3. Love it. Second clip, exact same rotation. Jasper Johnson hits a layup. You have blue team, Denzel, Colin, Cam, Mo, and it's not the exact same, Reese Potter there at the 5 instead of Malachi Marino. So working Reese Potter in a little bit, which I do like to see. Jaylen Lowe, Jasper, Trent, Andrea, and then Brandon Garrison there as your white team. I really like this. I really like these 2 rotations. And it's only going to get better once you get some guys back. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But these 10 players right here, 11 players, I should say, that we get to see in these 2 clips, really like it. We'll continue to break down what exactly we saw in practice because we get to see a little bit of change here, and then we'll get to 4 things that I want to see from practice or hear from practice at the very least as we get closer to the season. I'm so excited, guys. I'm really excited. Before we dive into that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, you get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer, has been for me and my family as well. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Guys, college football is back. I could not be more excited. This is the best time of the year, at least for me, especially now that we're getting closer to basketball season as well. The tailgates, though, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets to some of these games can feel like more of a battle than the contest itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, jumping things at checkout, kind of surprising you there at the very end. That's why I use Game Time, the app that actually gives advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football teams. For a lot of you, it's going to be Kentucky, no duh. For as low as $25. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I really love zone deals too. You can pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Take the guesswork out of buying your college football tickets with Game Time by downloading the Game Time app, creating an account, and using code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, continuing along here on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, let's just get right back into it. So we talked about the first two clips, first two rotations we saw there. Reese Potter being the only change there for the blue and white team. He actually played with the blue team, not the white team. Find that interesting. So we get to the third clip in Rupp Arena. We did not see the fifth player on the floor for both of these teams. It might have actually just been 4-on-4 action. Jalen Lowe, Jasper Johnson, Trent Noah, Mo Diabate. Same three there. And then you swap Diabate at the 4 for the, I believe, the white team. And then the blue team, Denzel Aberdeen, Andrea Yelovich, Malachi Marino, and Braden Hawthorne in the game for the Wildcats. Yes, that's right. Braden Hawthorne with Denzel, Andrea, and Malachi. Braden Hawthorne, I love the fact that he actually has already gained 15 pounds here throughout the course of the offseason. He went up from like 175 to 190. Continue to build on that. Continue to build muscle. Continue to build strength. And this kid is going to be a matchup nightmare. I would love to see him get involved here a little bit throughout the course of the non-con slate. I think that he could do some major damage for the Wildcats. Absolutely. Jasper hit a half-court shot over his head at one point during one of these videos, and that was really fun. And then we get to the clip from Mark Pope. He posted on Twitter like a 32-second clip talking about how he was really excited about the first period, couldn't wait to get back for the second for practice. Saw some really cool things from Garrison, Mountain Mamba, Trent Noah, a lot of different plays being made. The first clip from Pope, I think this actually was the Trent Noah 3 we talked about earlier. It's just a different angle of it. Jalen Lowe, Jasper Johnson, Trent Noah, Andrea Yelovich, Brandon Garrison in the white, and then Denzel, Colin, Cam, Mo, and Malachi in the blue. This is your rotation. I want to reiterate, love it, absolutely love it. Brandon Garrison at one point during this video absolutely swatted a lob attempt, I believe from Aberdeen, from the three-point line. I mean, he just got up there and just swatted it. It was an incredible play athletically. It was then also we got to see a really solid find from Garrison to Lowe in the paint, like a really nice dump off as he was cutting, and then an even better pass to the corner for an open Trent Noah 3. It was just a really smooth play. And then the big thing here that a lot of people were talking about on social media, Malachi Marino at one point gets the ball at the free throw line, kind of takes a dribble, has the ball almost swatted away from him. He recovers, it's closer to the low block. He pivots and then just detonates on somebody, just dunks the ball on somebody's head. It's not the most explosive play you'll see, but it was one heck of a play. If you can get that type of explosiveness from Malachi, that type of aggression where he can finish plays like that, man, the ceiling for this kid is very, very high. No wonder Pope has been raving about him and what he's been doing in practice. And speaking of doing stuff in practice, let's go ahead and get to the 4 things I want to see from practice. I want to remind you guys, if you got your opinions, leave them in the comments below. At Locked On UK is where you can find me as well. 4 things I want to see from Kentucky and their practices. First and foremost, I want to see Otega Oweh back out there. The preseason, likely to be preseason SEC Player of the Year, obviously absent in these 5-on-5 clips. You can see him in a lot of different shots, standing on the sideline with a ball in his hands, watching things unfold, watching that Malachi Marino dunk. No boot as far as I could tell, but he is getting closer and closer to being able to play. And I am very curious to see how Kentucky decides to divvy things up once they have him back in terms of rotations. Like, how consistently do they swap out of it? Because based on what we could tell, day one, they were rocking basically with these 2 rotations for their 5-on-5 stuff, and that was it. that was what they were going with. It was Lowe, Johnson, Noah, Yelovich, Garrison, Aberdeen, Chandler, Williams, Diabate, Marino. That's mostly what they were, at least what they were showing us. So Otega getting back out there, getting healthy. He's your best player. Get him back out there so we can see what he's able to do with this new supporting cast around him, I guess I should say. And then second thing I want to see here, and we kind of already got to see 2 really solid plays from him. I want to see Brandon Garrison be the best Brandon Garrison we could ever imagine. I want to see peak. Whatever his ceiling is, I want to see the best that we could possibly see out of BG. And that, I think, comes with the outside shot. I think it comes with improved passing and decision-making. I think it comes with much improved physicality at the rim and aggression and want to around the basket. I think Brandon Garrison needs to be the best that he possibly can be. That's what I want to hear, and that's what I want to see, is that he is balling out in practice and that we can have some confidence in what's probably going to be the starting 5 to start the year. And depending on how things go, might be the starting 5 for the entire year if JQ is not fully healthy the entire year, or if Mark Pope just decides that's how he wants to rock things. And I know a lot of you guys wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to either, but he's the coach, not us. We'll see what happens. Otega Oweh needs to be back out there. Brandon Garrison needs to be the best version of himself. Those are the first 2 things I want to see from practice. Let's talk about the other 2 here in just a moment. Before I do it, though, tell you guys about our friends over at the Game Cap. Quick question for you guys, all of you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game. So if you want to go to the Governor's Cup, if you want to see Kentucky, Louisville, if you want to go and see Kentucky, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina. By the way, we'll be talking about the SEC permanent rivalries here later on this week. But if you could go back in time to that rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? That's right, I said hat, because for me, I'd be wearing the Game Cap. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price that they did back then. When you use code LOCKEDONCollege, you'll get your vintage hat for $16.99. Head to thegamecaps.com and grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code LOCKEDON for an exclusive discount. Again, that's thegamecaps.com. Use code LOCKEDON because legends wear the game. All right, wrapping up today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, let's dive right back into it. We've talked about the rotations. We've talked about the clips. We've talked about the first 2 things I want to see out of practice. Let's go to the other 2 things that I want to see out of practice. We talked about Otega. We talked about Garrison. Third thing here, I want to see elite, and I mean elite, decision-making from all of the lead guards. And when I say decision-making, I mean assists, I mean ball handling, and I mean running the offense. And the 4 lead guards that I'm talking about, or guards, I should say, but until Otega gets back, are Jalen Lowe, Denzel Aberdeen, Colin Chandler, and Jasper Johnson. With the way that injuries piled up last year, I'm a little worried about what Kentucky's backcourt is going to do running the show if somebody goes down, most notably Jalen Lowe. What do? They're going to have to rely on Aberdeen and Chandler and probably a little bit of Jasper to do some things to passing the ball around. It's not a world I would want to live in right now. Get these guys playing well and making the right decisions now so that whenever they go out there, in case things happen, you feel a lot more comfortable with where you're at. When Colin Chandler has to check in for Aberdeen midway through the season with Jalen Lowe out for a couple of weeks. You feel good about where Chandler's at as a passer and as a ball handler, not turning the ball over. You need elite decision-making from all 4 of these guys. That's the third thing. And then the last thing here. We talked about Jasper needing to be a good decision-maker. I want Jasper Johnson to lock in and play as best as he can right now. Brandon Garrison, I want to see peak Brandon Garrison. I think that we can see peak Brandon Garrison. The ceiling can be recognized here. Jasper, I think, is a year or so away from developing into what could be his peak. So right now, I just want to see him try and be the best version of himself that he can currently be. I think that there are some things that he has to do strength-wise. I think there are some things that he has to do mentally to try and lock in and collect himself and be a more consistent player. And that's not to say that he's a bad player or that he could be a negative for Kentucky this year. I think that he probably has one of the highest, if not the highest ceiling as an offensive player on this roster, even as a freshman, because of what he can do shooting the ball. But defensively, and then staying engaged and just being consistent as he possibly can be right now with where he's at in his career. Just lock in and just try. Just try and be as good of a player as you can be as a freshman at the University of Kentucky. With as loaded of a roster as you are being surrounded by, just go out there and give it your all. And again, I don't necessarily think his all is the best version of himself that we will see in blue and white. I think that that's down the line. I think that's a season or more away. But as of right now, I just want to see some effort. I just want to see consistent effort. Not to say that he's not giving it. I just want to see it. All right. You guys let me know again, what do you want to see from practice? There's a lot of different things that I think we could tackle here. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at Lansdaw_, and you can follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. You can hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.